धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे समवेता युयुत्सवः.
Dr. Yash Gupta, thank you for coming, and it's very nice to connect with you. You know, it's like fellow FRCS, England से हम लोग so I know the journey, how we have been through that, and you went into plastic surgery, and you made a big name in England and UK, and I'm, of course, as you know, I'm in USA, urology. So it's a very good connection, but the thing that is kind of common between us, other thing that is more important thing or really vibrant is Bhagavad Gita and Krishna and the ancient Indian scriptures. And my feeling is that if you can introduce yourself, and then we can go on our discussion, because there's a lot of similarities in our thinking.
Thank you, Dr. Krishna Bhatt, for inviting me for this program, and I'm honored to be able to say a few words about the profound nature of knowledge in our scriptures. And in fact, I was invited to Harvard as a fellow at Harvard Leadership Program, and there I came across certain verses which changed my life, and I had a different view of our scriptures. And there is a book called Brahmā, and it has got how the Srishti was created and everything, and it had certain shlokas, the meaning of which, when I understood, those facts were not known to modern science 100 years ago. For example, I'll just start with one small example, and then I'll come to Gita. It says that Brahmā is praying to Krishna at the beginning of Kalpa, at the beginning of creation, and he's remembering how Krishna gave all the instructions for creation of the Srishti, and Brahmā did on his instruction. So he says, Yat Chakshur Esha Savita Sakala Grahanam Raja Samasta Sura Murti Yashesh Teja Yasya Agya Brahmati Samrato Kal Chakro Govindam Adipurusham Tamam Bhajami. So he is praying to Lord Krishna and saying that it is by your direction that sun, along with all its planets, Savita Sakala Grahanam, सारे ग्रहों के साथ अपने काल चक्र में घूम रहा है, समृतो काल चक्रो. So this Kal Chakra of Surya, the rotation of sun, was only known to modern science in 1920s. Before that, they didn't know that Surya, along with all its planets, has got its own orbit. And now we know that it has got an orbit, and it travels at the speed of 480,000 miles an hour. And it takes 230 million years to complete one cycle around the center of Milky Way galaxy. In fact, I've got a shloka in Bhagavatam which actually describes the exact speed of this as well. But let's just start with
I love what you said, Dr. Gupta. Ye Athato Brahma Jigyasa. I love that first verse. It's like that jigyasa, that deep intention is needed for the beginning of anything. I mean, whether it is surgery or whether it is medicine or whether it is Gita.
Correct.
I think the beginning starts from this.
Athato Brahma Jigyasa, Brahma Sutra ka pehla Brahma Sutra.
Yeah, that's right.
Herein starts our inquisition into the Brahma.
Yeah, right. So that inquisition is what is driving me and you into this field.
Absolutely.
And when you talk about sun, I love the way Krishna says that he gave this Gita knowledge
to sun,
to sun first. And
so this is in chapter 4,
and I want you to reflect on that.
So in chapter 4, in Krishna says to Arjuna, imam vivasvate yogam proktvaham avyayam vivasvan manurve praha manurikshava kave abrave evam param parapraptim imam rajarsho vidu sakale namahata yoga nashta parantapa. So Krishna says ki this imperishable science, this yoga, I taught to Surya first, Vivasta, Imam Vivasvate Yogam. And Surya gave it to Manu, and Manu gave it to Ikshvaku. And Ikshvaku was the 67th, he was the founder of Raghu dynasty, of which Ramchandraji was the 67th Vanchaj, and Dashrath was 66th. So, and then Krishna says ki Imam Rajarsho Vidu, Evam Parampara Papni, in disciplinic succession. I think this is the most important aspect, is that this knowledge was transmitted in disciplinic succession from Krishna to Brahmā to Narad to Vyasa to all the way down, and also those who were kings, and also the rishis like Janak and Guru Gobind Singh, and they were Raj rishis, and it was transmitted by them down the line. But a long time has passed, therefore this knowledge has become a little bit unknown. So I'm giving this knowledge again
lost.
to you. So
that's why he's
lost.
saying it again.
Yeah, it's not new knowledge. It's not new knowledge. It's always existed. I'm just reviving it to you on this occasion.
Yeah, but what fascinates me, in this part of the verse, is that is there a cosmic communication? Like we think that we can communicate, you and I can communicate, human communication. Sometimes there is animal communication, like dogs can understand several hundred words. But can you talk to sun? Can you talk to Ganga? In our scripture, this whole thing is that these things are not just material. It's not just a collection of...
there is a metaphysical aspect to it,
There is a metaphysical aspect.
So I think this is a very, very important point. So for this, one has to understand how the creation was made.
Yeah.
And the maker, we have to know about the maker. And after studying Brahma Samhita and Gita and Isha Upanishad and Bhagavad Puran, I've come to the conclusion that it is very clearly written in Mahabharata, the Itihasas of Mahabharata, even Vedas. They all talk about one God. And this is, I think, primarily very important to understand that Krishna in Gita has very clearly said. He said in 7th chapter, he says, Mata parantaram nanyat kinchit asti dhananjaya mai sarvam midam protam sutre maniganiva. There is nothing beyond me. So and everything is strung in this universe around like the beads in a necklace around me. So it is important that throughout Gita, he actually tries to impress, and Arjuna keeps asking, what is your authority? How are you able to give this? Who are you to give me this gyan? He says, I am the creator. I am the sustainer. I am everything. So in, for example, he says in 9th chapter, he says, Sarva bhutani konteya prakritim yanti mamikam. Kalpakshay punastani kalpaddo visajamyaham. So this is 9.7 of Gita. At the end of Kalpa, Sarva Bhutani, all living beings and the whole of Prakriti, Kalpakshay, at the end of Kalpa, everything comes into me. And Kalpaddav, at the start of new Kalpa, I reconstruct everything again. Visrajamyaham. So he says very clearly. So now I say, what is a Kalpa? So I'll just give you an example from Gita, which one shloka, it explains the entire Kalpa. So what does he say? It says, he's telling Arjuna that Sahastrayuga Paryantam Ahuryat Brahmano Vidu Ratrim Yug Sahastrantam Teho Ratri Vidujana. So now he is taking 1,000 yuga, Sahastra Yuga. The yuga here is the Mahayug, the Chatur Yug. So the aggregate of Kali Yug, Dwapar Yug, Treta and Satyug. And the aggregate and all these calculations have been given in my book, that how we arrived at this calculation. So this comes to 4.32 million years. So one Chatur Yuga, which is referred here, is 4.32 million years. and 1,000 such yugas, Sahasra Yuga, makes it 4.32 billion years. So know that to be the day of Brahma. And such is the duration of night, Ratrim Yug Sahasrantam. And Te Ahoratri Vidujana, that day and night, the 24 hours of Brahma will become 8.64 billion years. And Brahma lives for 100 years, so you multiply 8.64 billion times 360 times 100. It comes to 311 trillion and 40 billion years. So that is the one complete duration of Kalpa.
So that's a very important point, Yashji, because it's like sometimes we think that these are big numbers, but now it's like what is the speed of light or the distance from Earth to Sun? Now we are calculating, and many of these are light years. We use the word light years rather than like our calculation of day and month and a year. So it's all a relative thing. Like it's like sometimes you feel like, oh God, it's like that's a big number. How many zeros? But some companies are now $1 trillion, and now they are talking about like a SpaceX coming for quadrillion or something. So it's all a relative thing.
No, all these big numbers were there. For example, Koti is a crore. Crore is 7 zeros in it.
Yeah.
And Koti becomes crore. So 14 zeros. So when we say Koti Naman, we are talking about 14 zeros.
Yeah.
So 1,200 trillion we are talking about. So it is.
So these
a
numbers,
wonderful system.
Yeah. So it seems unrealistic, but now we are talking those numbers.
Those numbers we are talking now. We are realizing. Correct.
In different
slowly
perspective. Yes. But what is fascinating, talking to you, and the more I read Gita and the more I read some of the others, is we classify them into religion or mysticism, which is okay. But to me, it is becoming more like a science book. Like Krishna is more a scientist to me, because if Arjun asks a question, it's like 18 chapter 1, he asks, which is better, sannyas or tyag? Then Krishna gives a definition. Then he gives other people's opinion, what other people have said about it. Then he says his opinion. So he's very systematic. He defines it, gives the current knowledge. Then that's how we write papers in.
So you're absolutely right. And this is vital to understand that Krishna was teaching Arjuna everything, the science and the way to live as well, simultaneously.
Right.
So like, for example, the shloka 8.9 in Gita, chapter 8, 9 shloka, says, Kavim Puranam Anushasitaram Anyoranyam Sam Manusmretaya Sarvasya Dhataram Achinte Rupam Aditya Varnam Tamsa Parastat. He's saying, I am the original narrator, Kavim, Puranam, original, Anushasitaram, the regulatrix. I create the regulatrix. Anyoranyam Sam. Look at this beautiful phrase that I am smaller than the Anu. Anu is a molecule. Anu is a molecule. So I am smaller than Anu. Anyoranyam Sam Anusmretya. When you remember me, Sarvasya Dhataram. I am the provider, everything I provide. Sarvasya Dhataram Achinte Rupam. Unthinkable forms I have got. And like the Surya, Aditya Varnam Tamsa Parastat, I will dispel the andhakar from your mind.
Darkness.
When you understand me, and I think the problem is that we are unable to, I met a professor of history at Oxford. He was at Oxford. I worked in Oxford as a plastic surgeon. And I met him about 3 years ago in a function. And he was like a proper a Caucasian white, professor of history, like big shot. So I said, look, I've worked in Oxford and I love Oxford. Can you tell me, you are a professor of history at Oxford, when was the Mahabharata war fought? I asked him a simple question. So his answer was, oh, Dr. Gupta, isn't that a myth? That's what he said. and this is very important, I'll come to it in a minute. And so I said, look, Professor, if I tell you that Mahabharata war was fought in 3139 BC, and I've got the proof to tell you about that. So he says, oh, you mean to say it was before Egyptians? So in a way, his history is not going before Egyptians. And I think this has been very unfortunate in the Europeans. When Europeans started looking at our Shastras, they could not date it properly. And now we have dated it very nicely now. Now we know that Kali Yuga started 3102 BC, and we have got the proofs. And one will say, how you have proofs? Because in our Mahabharata and Ramayana, everything important was given by the nakshatras.
Yeah,
so for example, if we look at Valmiki's Ramayana, we look at the Balkan. So in the 18th Adhyaya, so 1.18, 0.8, 9, 10, these are the three shlokas in which Valmiki ji describes the nakshatra situation of the birth of Rama, Bharat, Lakshman and Shatrugna. And those nakshatra situations were put into a NASA software called Planetarium. And there was a chap called Dr. Bhatnagar, he passed away a few years ago, and he was able to map it and put it into that software. And you know what the date it churned? It churned out a date of 5114 BC, 10th January, midday. The exact day, time, and the year, that nakshatra situation there.
So Yashji, there are two factors there. One is, of course, you're saying Europeans. I know I have some Indian friends. They also call Ramayana and Mahabharata myth.
Yeah.
The question is, sometimes I feel that it's not a question of they don't have evidence or proof. They don't want to accept it. That also is a factor with many people who want to just keep it a myth because it's more comfortable for them.
Yeah, because I think you're right, because this is really unfortunate. Yeah. Because over the centuries, like last 3 centuries, we have been drummed into believing that the religion is based on Andhavishwas, Murti Puja, this, that and the other. And we sort of feel ourselves a bit small in saying कि हाँ हम तो मंदिर गए थे पूजा के लिए. अरे मूर्ति पूजा करते हो, मूर्ति में कैसे भगवान? मूर्ति में भगवान नहीं है, वो भगवान का रूप है. हम वहाँ उनको मूर्ति पूजा नहीं करते हैं. We pray to the Lord in that form. So that is called Archa Vigraha. It's called Archa Vigraha. In this form, we pray to the Lord. So उनके various forms हैं. And over the millennium, they have come, and like in Ramayana, people will say Ramayana is a myth. Now we know all the places are there, all the happenings, all the mandirs. If you go and look carefully, a lot of avisheshas are still there, physical avisheshas are there. So I don't know why this narrative has been propagated, and I feel that if we look at scientifically without bias, we will find so much evidence in favor of it's actually happening. And once we are convinced that it has happened, and this happened to me as well, once I was convinced that it happened, it has multiple times effect on me, that what teaching he is saying is unbelievable. Yeah. For example, in Gita, it's very, very, very nice. In chapter 7, he tries to explain about the आत्मा का concept वो बता रहे हैं, ठीक है ना? So it's a very interesting. It says मनुष्याणां सहस्रेषु कश्चित् यतते सिद्धये यततामपि सिद्धानां कश्चिन् मां वेत्ति तत्वतः. Out of thousands and crores of manushya, very few, a handful are able to get the knowledge, and out of that, those knowledgeable यततामपि सिद्धानां, उसमें से भी एक बहुत small fraction है who know me really. Now he says in 7.4, next shloka he says, Bhumirapo analo vayu manurbuddhikham cha ahankar itiyamev bhinna prakriti ashtata. So these are my material potencies. What are those? Bhumi, apo, pani, analo, ag, vayu. Kham is space, manor buddhi, man buddhi, or ahankar. ये 8 चीजें जो से मिलके मटेरियल वर्ल्ड बना है। अब इसके बाद का श्लोक देखिए 7.5 में कहते हैं अपरायम त्यन्यम प्रकृतिम विद्धि में पराम जीव भूता महाभावो येदम धार्यते जगत, कि बियॉन्ड दिस पराशक्ति आई हैव ए para potency, which everybody, all of us are a part. जो हमारी आत्मा है, we are a part of Krishna, the eternal,
Ansh.
So we are a small part of, we are Ansh. Or Jiva Bhutesana, he says that, So aprayam idam tu anyam prakritim vidhi. You know about my parashakti, जिससे कि सारे जीव जो हैं, जो शरीर धारण करके they are using the resources of this world. They were using the resources of this world. So then he says, it's a very important shloka. Etat yonini bhutani sarvani iti updharya aham kritasya jagat prabhava pralayasya tava. Ye sari etat yonini bhutani, all these species of life, yonini species, bhutani of life, etat yonini bhutani, ये सब मैंने बनाई है, आई हैव मेड दिस। एतत् योनिनी भूतानि सर्वाणि इति उपधार्य, अच्छे से समझ ले, अहम कृष्णस्य जगत, ये संसार मेरा बनाया हुआ है। अहम कृष्णस्य मीन्स क्रिएटेड जगत, प्रभा प्रलयस्य तथा, प्रभाव इज ओम, द बिग बैंग, द ओरिजिनल ओंकार, जिससे कि सारा शुरू हुआ था प्रोसेस, एंड प्रलयस्य तथा, इन द एंड फॉर द डिस्ट्रक्शन। सो दिस इज साइक्लिक, इट्स अ साइक्लिक थिंग. And he goes on to explain the cyclic nature of the universe as well. कि मयद्दक्षेण प्रकृति सूयते स चराचरम हेतुनान्येन कौन्तेय जगत विप्रवर्तते. This is such a beautiful shloka.
No, that
in मयद्दक्षेण प्रकृति, it is under my direction that nature creates this jagat and it gets jagat vipravartate. Vipravartate means gets recycled. So now they are coming to the same theory that in Big Bang, they are saying that there were some cosmic background radiation and bits and bobs, and then they conglomerated. So where was that cosmic background radiation? That was a residue. So they are fully realizing it now that they figured out that something happened. But where did that come from? So now they are saying that its universe is recycled, which is very clearly explained in Gita.
So what I love about Krishna is he says all this higher knowledge, I call it, but he also recognizes that there is people who will have no interest in knowing this. And then he says there are people who just worship the, gods, different gods. Yeah. They get their fall and I give the fall through them. But one of the things I wanted to touch base with you is again related to creation, but of course, Brahma's responsibility is to create that. And how does he create? I mean, what I like there, and yajna is a word that has not been very well understood by any of us. It's like an offering or... So when it says that sahayagya prajasrasva, there is a process. Brahma also uses a process in place.
Yes. It's a very scientific process.
Yeah.
In fact, this has been very described in great detail in Brahma Samhita. And it is very unfortunate that even Hindus and a lot of rishis are not familiar with Brahma Samhita. Yeah. See, Brahma Samhita is one of the oldest Samhitas, and it is the prayer of Brahma to Krishna at the beginning of Kalpa. So he recalls that I have been born again, and this is because of Krishna's knowledge impartation to me that I was able to create. उसमें देखो कितना beautiful.
Just for the benefit of listeners, Brahma Samhita is different than Brahma Sutra.
Brahma Samhita is different to Brahma Sutra. Okay. Brahma Sutra is a collection of like 400-500 sutras by Rishi Ved Vyas. Yeah. He actually created them. This is not a collection. Whereas Brahma Samhita is like a Puran. It's like a Puranic, but when you look at the concept, then you understand, he's saying, Brahmaji is saying, Sakara narane jale bhajati sma yog nidram ananta jagatanda saroma kupa adhara shaktim avlambe param samurtim govindam adipurusham tamam bhajami. O Lord Govinda, I bow to you because you lie on the causal ocean and innumerable galaxies are pouring out of your hair pits. Ananta Jagatanda. So this concept of Ananta Jagatanda, now Jagatanda you will say, how is it galaxy? So I figured out, because if you look at a galaxy, it's from the front view it looks circular, but if you look at the end-on view, it is elliptical. Yeah. It's elliptical. It's like anda. So that is called the Jagatanda. The galaxy is being described here as Jagatanda. So Ananta Jagatanda, innumerable galaxies are pouring. So how is this concept of innumerable galaxies when the concept of galaxy was not known to mankind? A galaxy pada thi at the beginning of 19th century, which is Milky Way. They did not know. So then it was in fact Edwin Hubble in 1920 when he made his telescope. Then he observed that there is another galaxy. So he first observed the Andromeda galaxy. Then he observed the Triangulum galaxy. Then he observed lot other galaxies. In fact, then he figured out that these galaxies are going away because the universe is expanding. They're going away from each other. And he actually created a Hubble constant. So that's all given. We all know that from our Puranic philosophy, from our Puranic teachings. So if those teachings were given thousands and thousands of years ago, then we have to start believing the truth of those teachings. This is my premise.
No, you said it very nicely and in elaborate fashion, but the fact remains that even Brahma or even Krishna, they follow the system they created.
Yes, they have to. They have to follow it. And this is what dharma is, because there are the laws which regulate everything. पहाड़ों पे वो बर्फ है, उन पे ग्लेशियर्स हैं, वो मेल्ट करते हैं, उनसे नदियाँ बनती हैं, उससे सारी धरती सींची जाती है, अनाज उगता है, और उसके बाद फिर वो समुद्र में मिल जाती हैं, फिर वो वेपर बन के जाती हैं, फिर वो पहाड़ों में बर्फ. It's a big cycle.
Yeah. So in the same chapter, third chapter, I like this, we are talking about, Krishna says that you offer things to devatas and they give you back, in return.
Yeah.
So it's give and receive. Give and
so
receive.
Okay, this is very important concept. In fact, we get stuck in this concept quite a lot. Yeah. So Krishna has created administrators. So once Brahma creates the Srishti on the instruction of Krishna, I think this should be very, very clear that Brahma is not the creator. Brahma is the architect. He is the construction wise. He follows the regulatrix principle. He has not devised the laws of gravity. He has not devised the laws of electromagnetism or thermodynamics. They have been devised by Krishna. I think once this falls into place, things begin to fall into place. And then there are various devatas which are providing you. Now sun is, you can say Surya Devata. In fact, devatas are there to give. Surya is there to give you light. But if you look at the science, there are atomic reactions happening. There is atomic fusion going on. Ab aap kahenge ki, what about atomic fusion? Does it occur in your Shastras? I would say yes. And I will give you an example just now. For example, if I ask you, what is a small unit of time? What would you say to that? What is a small unit of time? Maybe a second? Yeah?
Maybe
okay.
Really
let's take second. No, let's take a second, for example. Yeah. Just for example. Now, what is a second? According to scientific definition, second is 1/60th of a minute. Yeah. Minute is 1/60th of an hour. Hour is 1/24th of a day. And day is the rotation of Earth around its axis. This is how we sort of have the concept of time. If I ask you what is atomic time, so if one doesn't know, then I will say, okay, where will you go look for? You say look for Google. So if you look in the Google and say what is atomic time, it will tell you that it starts at one of the California laboratories with cesium-133 degeneration and 9 billion protons, whatever. And that's how it's calculated. It won't give you the concept of atomic time. You look at a physics book, it will not give you the concept of atomic time. But I mean, I was a physics topper. I never knew the concept of until I read Bhagavatam Puran. If I say that look into the third canto, chapter 11, shlokas 1 to 20, what would you say to that? It says, that's very strange. I will find it very interesting. So I'll tell you that. So shloka 3.11.1, what does it say? It says the smallest unit of matter which is capable of independent existence is called atom, Parmanu. 2 Parmanus make 1 Anu. And 3 Anus fuse to make a Trisyenu. So Trisyenu has got 6 atoms in it. Then it goes on to say, Trisyenu Trikam Mankate Sakalen Truti Samrate. The time it takes for fusion of 3 Trisyenus, which is 3 times 6, 18 atoms. So time it takes for fusion of 18 atoms is called Truti. And it is been described, I've calculated in my book, Science in Sanskrit Scriptures, to be 1/1675th of a second. That's about 500 microseconds. And so that is the time it takes for fusion of 18 atoms. So the time concept is according to fusion of atom. Now atomic fusion is such an important concept in science that the whole of Surya, what is doing? Fusing the atoms all the time, hydrogen and helium, and that is what the energy is being created. And that is the energy and the light which comes to us, travels 96 million miles and comes to us in over 8 minutes. And then that is the basis of life on our earth. So Surya becomes Devta because it is giving us heat, light, everything for us to sustain life. So whosoever is helping us, the Nadiyan are helping us, the Ganga becomes Devi because she is helping us sustain life. Vayu is helping us sustain life. So Vayu becomes Vayu Devta. So these are the natural things which they have classified as Devatas. Now Devatas, they were able to communicate and affect. अब यह कहते हैं बारिश नहीं हो रही, यज्ञ करो. So यज्ञ करने का मतलब यह है कि एक तो you are trying to respect the biological balance. If we are trying to imbalance it too much, we are trying to use too much of the resources. अब हम इतना हमने तेल निकाल के यूज कर रहे हैं, उसको हम उसके pollution हो रही है, it affects the whole ecosystem. So ecology was very, very important part of yajna and sustenance of life, and which was done through Devatas. So the Devatas were working under Brahma rule and further eventually under Krishna's. Now I keep saying Krishna because people will say God.
Krishna
Paramatma.
is Brahman, in a way.
Yeah. So what our, and I looked at it very carefully. Now Brahma Samhita, first shloka, Brahmaji says, Ishwar Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakaran Karanam. This is how he starts. He says, Ishwar Parama Krishna. There is no doubt, it's very clearly said, Ishwar Parama Krishna, Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha. His form, that Vigraha, the Tribhanga Roop, is very pleasing, is the true form, and it's the most knowledgeable. Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha. Anadiradir Govinda, no beginning, no end. And he is the cause of all causes.
Yeah.
And this, in my second book, I'm trying to collect all the references to the supremacy of Lord Krishna. And once the supremacy is understood, things fall into place much better than resisting.
I understand what you're saying, but I also feel that there is no reason to defend that we have multiple gods. There is no reason to defend. I mean, it's like if you analyze on a different level, Brahma is his own unit, he's independent, he's autonomous. Shiva, many people will put Shiva as the supreme.
Autonomous, yes.
Yeah, autonomous. So I don't know why we always try to defend and say we are one God. why do we have to be one God? Yes, Krishna's character is described like that, but it's not in defense. I mean, we should describe Krishna as he is, but there is no reason to defend. If there is multiple God, there is multiple God.
You're absolutely right.
Communicate with Ganga Mata.
This is the main sticking point. Now I'll tell you something very important. When I wrote the book Science in Sanskrit Scriptures, it was about 4 years ago I wrote it, and I was in Delhi. There was publication. The publisher was in Delhi, so I published it. So my friend, who's a Padam Shri, he said, Dr. Yash, this will be released by Karan Singh, because he is a big knowledgeable person of Sanskrit and Shastras. So we went to his house. So he invited us. We went to his house. And we were sitting, and then he said, okay, Dr. Yash, tell me what is this book about. So I said, look, I was at Harvard, and I told him the story that this is the Brahma's prayer to Krishna, which had certain shlokas which impressed me enormously. So he says, oh, so you are a Krishna Bhakta. I'm a Shiv Bhakta. So it was a very divisive statement that he passed. And I said, look, how is he going to review my book if he looks at it this way?
His angle is...
So what I said to him, I said, sir, एक ही बात है. दस कैसे? मैंने कहा मैं आपको शिव स्तुति सुना देता हूँ. नमामि शमिशान निर्वाण रूपम. So I started singing Shiv. He started singing Shiv Stuti with me. Then he was completely transformed. He said, you've just opened my eyes today. I said, we have differentiated it so much that there is no need for it. There is no need for it. We are not learning Shastras as it is. We are putting our own angle into it, which is causing the confusion.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to remove the confusion based on scriptures. In my book, Science and Sanskrit Scriptures, 2 pages are given of references, because I do not want to say anything which has not been referenced.
Well, you are a scientist, so you will not do any other way. I mean, that's what.
And everybody understands. हमें क्यों अच्छा लगता है सारा? Because ये सब scientific based है, इसलिए हमें अच्छा लगता है. तो अब हमारा भी सनातन Hindu system is totally scientific. That's what I'm trying to say. It's just that they have put lots of colors on it, and we are not able to come out of it. And the way to come out of it is to understand that itihas, it does happen, that Mahabharata and Ramayana are itihasas. They actually happened. Then one will understand. If one reads, then I read Ramayana as well, and I find everything given in Vedas. I know people say about Vedas. Somebody said, I am Arya Samaji. I don't believe in all these. I says, okay, you do Havan, Yajna Havan? He said, yeah. I says, what's the first thing you do? You take water in your hand, and what do you say? Krishnaya Nama, Vasudevaya. You take 3 names of Krishna before you start. He said, yeah, we do that. So I said, why? Why do you do that if you don't believe in it? And he could not believe what he was listening. He said, we've never thought about this.
Yeah.
Even Vedas, people say Vedas are different. I said, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Pitaham matsya jagato mata dhata pitamaha vedyam pavitram omkara riksam yajur evacha. 9th chapter, he says, कि पिताहम मत्स्य जगतो, इस जगत का पिता मैं हूँ, माता धाता, sustainer, everything I am. In fact, Vedyam Pavitram Omkara, the Om in Vedas, I am the Om. In fact, the 3 Vedas I am, Rig, Sam, Yajur, Evacha.
Yeah.
So 5,200 years ago, in Bhagavad Gita, on the battlefield of Mahabharata, he has proclaimed
5,000, yeah.
He has proclaimed that Pitaham Masya Jagto Mata Dhata Pitamaha Vedyam Pavitram Omkara Riksam in 3 Vedas. And we'll say, now we have 4 Vedas. Yes?
Yeah.
Because the 4th Veda was created by Ved Vyas about 30 years after Mahabharata war. So I think these are the connections, historical and Shastric connections, that we have to understand fully and completely. Then only the whole thing will fall into place.
So in the interest of time, it's what you're, I think we could keep talking for 2 days, and not finish.
Yes.
So one thing I love about Gita and Krishna conversation with Arjun, it's more conversational.
Yes.
That he talks this higher knowledge, he makes his proclamation, but then he comes to the bottom line. He never has lost that Uttisthata Arjuna, or
Tasmat Uttishta Kaunteya.
Do your work.
Absolutely.
So I think that's one thing, that yes, we have all this, esoteric knowledge, and we can debate for those things, science or no science, and time or no time. But there is the bottom line for him to tell us. And one of the things I love about him is Asanga Sastrena Dirhena Hatva. He even says non-attachment is Asanga Sastra. It's like a shastra.
Yeah.
And
correct.
Use it like a weapon to cut down the attachment. And the other thing, although he proclaims about himself and everybody else, but on 18th chapter 15, 14 and 15 is my most kind of, I love these two verses. And he says, Nyayam va viparitam va. So even if you are, it's like, whatever you are, whether you are Duryodhana or whether you are Yudhishthira, you are using the same system. You are influenced by the same 5 factors, Panchaitanya.
Absolutely.
So he does acknowledge the fact that yes, some people will not believe in Krishna, or this word slok you quoted, most people won't believe Krishna. Even when he was alive, many people didn't know
who he is.
Yeah, who he is.
Because and this is the beauty, that we have to understand the mightiness of the Almighty. And so for this, if one reads Bhagavatam Puran, then it tells the mightiness of Almighty in a major way. And all the creation and everything has been explained in Bhagavatam as well. In Brahma Samhita, in fact, there are Shambhu has been, role of Shambhu in creation has also been very clearly defined. So, I can go on and on about it, but I think you're right, we are short of time. So I would all just summarize it, that is, my next book will be Spirituality in Sanskrit Scriptures, because for far too long, we are concocting our own ideation of spirituality. And I think, and in fact, Guru Nanak said this very nicely. He says, Manmukh and Gurmukh. He very clearly says in, Guru Nanak says, so Manmukh are the ones who are making their own philosophies and theories. Whereas Gurmukh are the ones who are following the original teaching in the disciplinic succession.
That is Nyayam va viparitam va,
So we have to follow what has come to us in the disciplinic succession as it is.
Niyatam kuru karmatvam,
without giving any color to it. And once we know that, and we can apply it in our own lives, and this is what I have done. This is what I've done throughout my life.
So this application part is what attracted me, to Gita.
It will make you a better human being. It will make you a more peaceful, more successful, and more righteous person. Because righteousness is going out of window, and this is the Kali Yuga. This has all been described in great detail in Bhagavatam Puran. That when the Kali Yuga comes, what will happen? How the value system. So the value system is based on Satogun, Rajogun, Tamogun. Even Gita mein he says, Satyam Rajastama iti guna prakritim sambhavam. It is by the 3 gunas that Prakriti is made. So, and then he goes on to explain what are the karmas in
Gunatit, so you have to.
So he explained that these are material properties. So gunas are giving you material properties. So once you elevate yourself away from the beyond the gunas, then you become gunatit. और उसका भी एक्सप्लेनेशन 14 चैप्टर में कृष्णा ने दिया है. लेकिन गुणातीत होने से पहले हमें ये one thing he has emphasized, and I found it throughout the scriptures, is that unless you are situated in Sattvic, it is very difficult to connect and understand this. If you are not in Sattvic, Duryodhan will never be able to understand it. Ravan will never be able to understand it. Hitler would never be able to understand it.
I just want to make this point. I mean, it took me a long time to understand, and understand means really understand. I used to think that once you do good things, like, you are saying Sattvic, you're doing puja, you are doing rituals, you are doing Gita, you're doing knowledge, the other things will be taken care of.
Sir, ये बड़ा important point है. This is very important.
थोड़ा सा मिठाई भी खा ले,
one last श्लोक I will
गड़बड़
say.
काम भी कर ले, लेकिन that's okay if I'm doing this. Then that's why I said the point, asanga sastrena dridhena hatva. He's saying, no, you have to have your discipline and you have to cut your attachments, then you move. It's not like both are going on at the same time.
So the gist I found is that A is Satogun, B is Tamogun, and C is Rajogun, whatever. And the A plus B plus C equals 100%.
Mm-hmm.
So if you reduce your Tamogun, then your Satogun and Rajogun will go up.
Yeah.
But if you increase your Rajogun, या आप ऐश कर रहे हो, राजसी ठाठ हैं, तुम्हारे पास बहुत पैसे हैं, तुम कहोगे मेरे को क्या दिक्कत है, मैं तो ठीक है करो,
लेकिन में यज्ञ कर लिया तो हो गया. It doesn't balance.
लेकिन कृष्णा eventually says कि what is Krishna consciousness? This is the important point to understand. That Krishna says that you are मामेवंश जीवलोके जीवभूते सनातना. He says in 15th chapter कि मेरे ही अंश हैं, जीवभूत सारे, all the living beings are a part of me. तो उसको ही हम आत्मा कहते हैं. मामेवंश जीवलोके. तो वो ही saying कि for वो तो सनातन है ही आत्मा तो, लेकिन वो बार बार शरीर धारण करती है, because that is the law. Because he clearly says कि बार बार आना ही पड़ेगा. जातस्य ही ध्रुवम मृत्यु ध्रुवम जन्म तस्य च. सेकंड चैप्टर में वो कह देते हैं कि जो पैदा हुआ है उसका मरना उतना ही अटल है जितना ध्रुव तारा है, और जो मर गया उसका पैदा होना भी उतना ही अटल है. तो दिस इज द लॉ. दिस ही हैज क्रिएटेड दिस लॉ. बट ही सेज
there is a way to go beyond and not.
Yeah, if you want to come to me, then there is a way.
Yeah.
So he talks about Maya as well. कि देवी ऐसी गुणमयी मम माया दुरत्या. मेरी माया बहुत कठिन है और सब उसमें फंसे हुए हैं और कोई नहीं निकल सकता. लेकिन एक तरीका है, मामे भी प्रपद्यन्ते माया में ताम तरंती थे. तो उन्होंने तरीके बताए हैं कि द लॉ इज दैट यू विल बी इन द संसार, you are using the resources of the world, and some people are using resources far too much than they should be using, and this is causing the imbalance. So imbalance has to be reduced, and this is what samvattam yoga uchyate. This is very important to understand this samvattam, this balance. In scientific terms, this is the standard deviation. I say if you draw a straight line which is x plus y axis mein, and then the standard deviations are there. So 1 standard deviation, 2 standard, 3 standard deviation. So the scatter will be too much if you are having 3 standard deviation. So you reduce your scatter and you have all the points along that straight line. Your life will be lot better. So इसमें मैं finally आपको एक गीता का श्लोक बताना चाहता हूँ, जो आपने बात की कि मैं सब कुछ कर सकता हूँ पर फिर भी क्या मुझे मुक्ति मिलेगी इससे, इस जन्म मरण के, जो कि बुद्धा ने भी यही कहा, महावीर ने भी यही कहा, सब ने यही कहा है एक्चुअली. तो उसमें फिर ये कहते हैं, कृष्णा कहते हैं एक तरीका है बड़ा आसान. 10.10 तेषां सतत युक्तानां भजान्ते प्रीतिपूर्वकं ददामि बुद्धि योगम तम येन माम उपयान्ति ते. कि देखो दिस इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि तेषां सतत युक्तानां, जो लोग हर तरीके से किसी भी तरीके से मुझे भजते हैं, ठीक है ना, कैसे भजते हैं, मुझे या मेरे देवताओं को या जो मेरे बनाए. नहीं सर, ये देखिए आप इसमें पॉइंट देखिए, भजान्ते प्रीति पूर्वकम. ही इज क्वालिफाइड इट कि देयर हैज टू बी ए लविंग रिलेशनशिप विद कृष्णा. फिर उनको मैं वो बुद्धि योग देता हूँ, ददामि बुद्धि योगम तम येन माम उपयांति थे, जिससे वे मुझे पा सकते हैं. So just doing the right thing may not be enough, as you're saying. So one has to develop.
The thing is, Yashi, the key word is satat yukt. If you are constantly remembering, so then you are not doing anything else. Your focus is on Krishna.
नहीं, पर इस पे भी कहा है कृष्णा ने कि तस्मात् सर्वेषु कालेषु माम अनुस्मरण युद्धय च. See,
सर्वेषु कालेषु, all the time. It's not only
all the time.
True at his time.
You remember me
and
do your duty. Do your duty. You see, this part we have forgotten. A lot of people. I go to Hare Krishna and ISKCON. So they used to say, "Why don't you do mala?" I used to say, tell them, look, bhakti is your karma at the moment. My karma is saving lives and limbs. So I'm doing my karma. So अगर तो कृष्णा ने साफ कहा है कि जो दोनों करो, मेरे को याद भी करो और अपना काम भी करो. So I think this is the key message to younger generation would be that simultaneously if you do both, that will bring the balance and the righteous way of thinking, which will help us make our lives better. Thank you.
एक चीज आपने कहा, and that is where I want to end, and understanding mightiness of the mighty.
Yeah.
I love that word, mightiness of the mighty. So on that term, Sanjay finishes Gita with
yes.
Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna. Can you
Yatra Yogeshware Krishna, Yatra Partha Dhanurdhara, Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhuti, Dhruvo Nitir Matir Mama. 18.78.
Mightiness of the might.
That is the mightiness of the might.